So my last video was about how not to get killed by the police. Well, this one's a little bit about police, but it's about Facebook police and me getting mad about something that the police argue and something that I argued that our Marine Company command, when I was in the Marine Reserves, they were largely police, and there was about 10% of our company was police, and I got in a situation where I got in a fight with a guy after a Christmas party. This was 3 weeks after I was conditionally released from command to go to Quantico, Virginia for Marine Corps Officer Candidate School. So I just got in a fight with this guy, and I did something in a split second. Um, the guy tried to run me over with his car after we'd already been fighting. I was walking home from a Christmas party, and so he tried to run me over after we'd been fighting on the street. And he got out of his car after he tried to run me over, and I took off in his car, just like a split-second thing. So the whole case was predicated on the fact that I admitted that I drove off in the car and that I did something right before that he was retaliating against, I guess. They say we retaliated back and forth multiple times, and then when I left the scene, I came back with the car. I went all the way home. I didn't know what to do with this car, so I decided to take it back. Should have just left it on the street, I suppose. But, I didn't know what to do. I brought my handgun with me from home at that point, which made me look like a total monster, I guess, to a California prosecutor. It's not even a crime in Texas, but that's no good defense in a court of law. But the guy was chasing me around on a bicycle, and I was on foot, and then he threw his bike at me when I stood to fight. He cut my hand open, and I chased him to his house. He ran in his house, so I ran back to the bike to try to ride off on the bicycle. Well, the chain fell off of the bicycle, and I was dinking around with it trying to put the chain back on. This is here in Escondido on Brotherton, right in front of Bethel Baptist Church. It's actually in the church parking lot, right near the kickball backstop at Miller Elementary School. So I thought that the guy was going to come around both ways because there were like 4 trucks at his house, and I ran back to the house to try to catch him off guard. I thought it was preventative self-defense. There's no such thing. There are justification defenses at law, but I just got mad and I broke his house window and then took off thinking that breaking his house window was going to cause him to stay home or something. No, he got in his car and tried to run me over, and then I jumped over the hood of the car. He got out, I ran past him, took off in the car. So, I mean, the argument is not a good argument, but I got in this discussion with one of the members of my Marine platoon, and this has been over a decade. This was 12 years ago when this happened. We got in this discussion about how police officers are right now after the George Floyd case, with all the protests going on. They're arguing about doing away with carte blanche qualified immunity for police officers for their actions, that each police officer could be held to have less of a benefit of doubt with respect to their motives and their actions, and less of an immunity for doing things that just be held more personally responsible, I guess, rather than giving them the benefit of, oh, they have all this stress on them. Or, I mean, talking about qualified immunity is a big, long conversation in and of itself, but my discussion with my buddy was that our other first sergeant, who our next first sergeant took over for, was not a police officer. Well, the new one was a police officer, and those guys just didn't want to hear anything about. No, I mean, it's a ridiculous sounding story. Breaking a house window, car, bike, a gun, it's bad, right? It wasn't a winning case, but I was charged with a felony for driving off in the car, and in my mind I was driving off to get away from someone who just tried to kill me. The DA did ultimately see it that way to a certain extent. They didn't agree that the guy even tried to run me over, but they just agreed that there's no real reasonable thing that could have occurred in the direction of me just doing something for no reason. They just, they dropped the entire theft charge, felony or misdemeanor. First, the cops wrote it up as a misdemeanor take and drive, and then while I was there, they rebooked me and made it a felony vehicle theft, both 10851, a wobbler. And so I got in this argument about how our Marine Command, who are police officers, didn't want to hear anything about my split-second decision that I had to make and how it was just motivated by self-preservation. But they always make all these arguments about their split-second decision-making. So it just turned into this thing where I got a little irritable about something my buddy kept saying because I'm doing criminal defense paralegal work, and I sort of started using some choice words on Facebook. Well, I forgot we were on his wall because I was not cussing at him. I was cussing about the situation, and I forgot we were on his wall because it was just a back and forth message. I thought we were using Messenger. I just forgot what we were doing. So Facebook all of a sudden goes, no, stop, Facebook criminal, you're now in Facebook jail. They gave me like 29 Facebook hate speech violations. Like, I was not spewing hate speech at anybody. I was just talking about this situation that occurred 12 years ago with another member of my platoon who's very familiar with this situation. I mean, well, to a certain extent. My friends are familiar with me talking about one part of it or another, and they try to do this thing where they try to get me riled up about one part of it or another. Like, look, that's my personal life, but I tell you about it because it's how I started studying the law. I had been a real estate salesperson and a mortgage loan officer, and I, finished my religion degree. I studied theology in college. Got into the Marines, and then, it wasn't by default. I did want to study the law already anyways, but started studying inside of San Diego County Jail. And it's led me a few different directions, back into some real estate investing, and then working with kids on juvenile probation, starting my paralegal subcontracting business. But I still, I make stupid mistakes, like forgetting that I'm on a Facebook wall, and I get thrown in Facebook jail now. It's better than real jail, definitely. But it's weird. It's a weird experience because you don't realize it's going on. You're like, all of a sudden you're in Facebook jail, just like kind of going on a rant. Like it's just me like ranting, like I'd rant in my living room, talking with my friends. But so I decided to make another video since I'm in Facebook jail, and it's not all I do with my life. Click around Facebook and everything, but it's always on, and it's weird when you can't say something to someone like, oh wow, I don't know how many days I have to wait. But I'm not penitent. I don't think I did anything wrong. I get how it triggered their algorithm, but it's strange because it says this will stay on your profile for a year normally. I'm like, oh no, I'm grounded. For nothing. I don't know. For just talking about something that's going on that just like all of a sudden bugged me. Qualified immunity thing. So anyways, there's a video for today. Thanks for listening.